Welcome everyone. We are very happy to have with us the Director of Indian Center for Space Physics, Professor Sandip Chakrabarti, myself, Dr. Tamal Basak from Indian Center for Space Physics. So we are going to discuss about a very interesting topic of the balloon expedition by China, and we are going to have the valuable opinion from Professor Sandip Chakrabarti, who has the experience of doing a very intense science with balloon, and he has the experience of launching 115 balloons. And so let us come to the topic. So we are going to ask Professor Chakraborty that the recently in the news that the balloon invasion by China to the USA is that happened, and it is in the very burning topic in the news for last week or so. So what is your opinion?
Well, first of all, it is not really an invasion. One stray balloon has been observed, and it was observed on 1st of February in North near Alaska, and then people immediately spotted it, military spotted it, and then it entered into Canadian airspace. Then ultimately it came on to Montana, where there is a Maelstrom Air Force base, where all the nuclear missiles are actually installed. So that's a very important air base. Most of the air bases in the north of United States, because if they want to invade Russia or China, it is easier for them to go via North Pole. So that is why they keep it in the northern border of boundary of United States. And this Chinese balloon was apparently right over that Maelstrom Air Force base, and even then Americans did not react; they were just watching. And then they found that then they decided, President Biden, they decided to shut it down only after it appears outside in the land area. So when it actually left South Carolina coastline, then they shut it down, and now they are analyzing the debris. The debris has fallen about 40 kilometers, 40 miles area. So it is a large balloon, large instrument, about 3 London bus size, and they found that the balloon will be is about 600, sorry, about 200 feet diameter. So it is a large balloon, but Americans have already found that it is not something carrying weapon or something, but clearly it has a boom, and it was observable. So it was just presumed to be a surveillance balloon.
So my question is that whether it is a spy balloon or weather balloon, what is your opinion?
See, Chinese government is claiming that it is a very simple weather balloon, and there is no reason that it should be shut down. It is a humanitarian activity, but it was then Americans should be saying that why it is in our air base. I mean in a boundary within our aerial boundary. So that permission was not taken from United States. Sometimes people do fly intercontinental and the boundary if they cross. We have also flown many times, and a couple of times it also went to Bangladesh. But we immediately called them up and then told them that this is what it is, and then we recovered it. But in this particular case, United States found it, but China remained quiet. They never actually said that look, our balloon has entered into your airspace. Please note that it has these equipments. They were supposed to be apologetic. They were supposed to tell beforehand what is there, but they kept quiet, assuming that it may never be detected. Ultimately, it was detected. So it is presumed that it is spy balloon. There is nothing going on. A weather balloon you do not require a 200 feet diameter balloon. Weather balloon is typically a 20 feet diameter balloon carrying 200 grams of payload is good enough to get the weather, temperature, pressure, humidity, etc. But this was supposed to have about few hundred kilograms of payloads with a huge solar panel, and therefore it is let us put it this way, practically it is everybody, even a child will know that it is not a weather balloon. So that is my opinion.
So you have the experience of successful so many balloon missions. So what is your idea that is it the route root of this balloon? Is it unintentional or it is by mistake by China? The root.
No, the route actually, route is such. Route actually changes depending on the wind and the ascent rate of the balloon. How much gas you feel inside tells you how rapidly it will fly to fly vertically, and all the balloons typically go up to maximum 42 kilometers. Now, in this particular case, they also have found that they have a propeller, so it can be limited steerability is also there. So although the path is like that, people have been able to figure out that this path can be reproduced if this roughly reproduced if this was launched from some Western Chinese base. But it is not it is not clear to me whether the Chinese would like to have this balloon for such a long time in their airspace. I would have said that no, they have actually launched it right off the coast of the United States, and they have launched it, and even then most of the track can be reproduced. It will go via Montana. It would have, but Chinese had some probably other intention. They probably wanted to do the spying, and they wanted to get back the payload. And there is an interesting experience that I can tell you that there is a wind pattern. The wind actually up to 20 kilometers it goes in one direction. From 20 to 40 it goes in other direction. In some places, in some seasons. Okay. In this particular season, above 20 the wind would have brought the balloon back into the western part of the United States. So, and these balloons are such, this small size, such that you can even launch it from home. So I would not be surprised if there are many of them just launched from board, and it is hoped that they will go do the spying and will come back, will pick up the reverse wind and will come back to the near the boat, and they can recover it. But it looks to me that there is a steerability there, there is a propeller there, but the jet stream is about 150 kilometers per hour. There is no way they can actually steer it at that thin, because air is very thin, and they have to come very at 60,000 feet. If they are at 40 kilometers, they cannot steer. There is no air. So propellers are useless. So in order that propellers can work, they came down to 18 kilometer height, so that there is some air and the propellers can at least move them around a little bit, right and left, etc. But this thing is not strong enough. When the jet stream is at that height, very high, so they cannot possibly fight against the jet stream. So yes, it is mostly guided by the wind pattern, mostly guided by the ascent rate, and there is a limited capability to hang around on an airbase probably for longer than the average time. But that is what was happening in this particular case.
So my next question will be: is there anything scale factor associated?
This is a scary. This is the whole thing is scary, because balloons are manufactured manually, and every balloon has its own personality. So, I would not be surprised that their original intention was probably to get the balloon back from the back wind from 20 to 40 kilometer. They would just raise it to 20-40 kilometer and bring it back to by using the big river stream. But probably the balloon lost the height because of the leak. There could be a small leak in the balloon, and so it never went up to above 20 kilometer, and then therefore the velocity continued to be in the same direction. So that is where the embarrassment is. That's why they said that yes, it went out of control. If they could have raised that thing to that 20 to 40 kilometer zone, then it would have come back to the sea again from very close to their launch site. So this is scary because balloons are very unpredictable, and this is scary because just as the Sputnik was scary. When the Sputnik came, it was 577 kilometers away, above. Still, Americans got scared. Here it is something that 18 kilometers, and the Chinese have made sure that Americans can see. Size is pretty big, almost half as that of the full moon. So anybody can see with the naked eye. So if you want to scare somebody, you could not be doing better. This is a very nice way to scare. Now, and you let them guess what it is there inside. Maybe there is a cotton ball sitting there. But even then, people thought, boy, 18 kilometers, enemy alien is moving around, we cannot do anything. That itself is very scary. You have to remember that geostation, if you want to watch, do some surveillance, you can do it from geostationary orbit also. But the orbit is at 36,000 kilometers away. You require a very powerful machine to do some spying. But here you are doing the spying only from 18 kilometers, so that makes you even more scared. Even more scary is that if you want to shut it down, it may actually it may have dirty bombs or biological weapons or something. So therefore, it could have damaged. It could have made the nuclear missile totally devastated, contaminated by radiation.
So, in continuation to your answer, I would like to ask you that is it the reason for keeping it at low height? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, the low height means the surveillance was going on, and secondly, the psychological warfare is going on. They want every Americans to see, just like Soviets made the that Sputnik a steel ball, so that the light can reflect on it, and people can see very bright thing going, so that even with the small binocular people see Russian satellite is going. So that is a psychological warfare going on. Okay. So here also, the fact that it is 18 kilometers watching you, it should scare everyone.
Now I'm going to a different question. That can you tell us that what are the factors that controls the trajectory of a plane?
First of all, if you more hydrogen or helium you feel, of course the feel, then its lift goes up, and then lift goes up, then it also decides the burst altitude. If you feel too much, it will go very rapidly, but it will burst very quickly. Okay, and so there's a on the other hand, if you feel just a little bit more than the feel lift, then it will go probably 10 centimeter per. Normally it goes at, let us say, 4 meter, 5 meter per second. But if you send it by 10 meter per second, then it will take infinite time to reach your burst height, and then it will go mostly laterally. So it will go almost like 10,000 kilometer on this side. Okay, lateral.
From the launching point.
From the launching point. It may even cross the entire world. So it's a very inexpensive way to do lot of surveillance over the entire world. Okay, and it will come back, and you are at the same time you are transmitting the data to your satellite. So even if you lose it in the enemy is shot it down, or you fall it in the sea, you probably like it to fall anywhere. You don't care anymore because you already got the data. So that makes it more scary. That merely by shooting it down will not help you. They already got your data.
So another very interesting question: that is there any possibility that it can carry? It's the possibility of carrying any weapon through these balloons.
Weapons, of course, no. See, balloons don't care what it is carrying. Okay, it has a certain lift, and you can put it a big television set or a big bomb also, miniature atom bomb also. The problem is that because of uncertain nature, they are as bad as a non-state actors on which you don't have any control. It is a terrorization in some sense. So my opinion would be that balloons should be only used for scientific research, weather data, and it should never be weaponized. There should be international treaty all over the world. Everybody must sign that, like a protocol, climate and so on. Everybody must know this. These are uncertain, and if anybody does this, the weaponized balloon, is actually terrorizing the world. Okay, that should be this must be there, because there is no way you can have a control on a balloon, full control. So I would put it that way.
So, sir, thanks very elaborate answers. And one last question: that what is the scientific advantage of doing a science using a balloon? As a scientist, what is your?
See, science part is, we have been doing balloon science for a long time, 100 years, 150 years. You can see that the more than 100 years, 100 and 150 years ago, people have been already carrying pressure measuring equipment, temperature measuring. Then 1913, Victor Hayes already proved that cosmic rays come from outside. You can imagine that time balloon flying was a very big deal. It was a hot air balloon mostly, and you used to take bulky big instruments. Nowadays, we take small instruments, but it has a lot of ramifications. So, science, X-ray in the sky was discovered by balloons. Then lot of discoveries are even today. Of course, before you send to satellite, you can even test the instrument first by sending by balloon. So balloons remain a very inexpensive way. It can be repeated. It requires a short time to start again. You get back your instrument because in parachutes get your instrument back. So your expense is very low. Your recurring cost is very low. At the Indian Center for Space Physics, every time we send, we spend hardly 30 to 40,000 rupees. We still happily get data up to 4 5 hours, and our parachutes get them back. So they will remain a very useful tool. But the same good things, if you start using to scare people, that would be the most negative thing that happened to humanity. You know, so every time if you want to advance the civilization and the same thing you use it to bring it back, you don't advance. You ultimately go back. So I think that fundamentally this nonsense should be stopped. If there was any weaponizing, see, it could be biological thing, it could be a dirty bomb, it could be a chemical bomb. So all these things must be stopped, must be banned, and immediately you isolate the country who is doing it and try to put sanctions on it.
So thank you, Professor Chakrabarti, for his valuable time and his valuable opinions on this very interesting thing which is going on. So thank you, friends, for being with us and listening us so patiently. And very soon we will be coming with other interesting topics. Thank you, Professor.